So South Africa's growth prospects in the run-up to the pandemic were pretty poor. Real income growth was declining, GDP was slowing, unemployment was rising, the economy wasn't doing well. When the pandemic hit, obviously this was a much larger shock. It had immediate effects on economic activity. GDP for the year of 2020 was expected to decline very sharply. So this book was conceived as the pandemic was coming to a close, when we could see that it was winding up. And the question for us was, okay, we don't want to go back to those previous growth trends. We really need to boost growth in South Africa to a much higher growth rate. So did the pandemic generate a different analysis, a different way of thinking about whether or not how policy should be aligned to get back to growth prospects? And so IFPRI, the International Food Policy Institute, and the Reserve Bank got together to ask some authors to look at particular aspects of the growth problem facing South Africa that they thought were meaningful and were worth revisiting in the wake of the pandemic. And so that generated the 6 chapters in the book. Particular topics that were put on the table for the authors to explore. So those included trade policy, monetary and fiscal policy coordination, so macroeconomic coordination. We looked at building back better, so what would that look like, and how would it link to climate change and green growth. We looked at the labor market and a few other things. So each of the chapters addressed specific policy challenges in each of those areas and came up with some innovative ways of thinking about the problem. How do you take advantage of post-pandemic opportunities to make inroads in better policy in some of these areas? And obviously this is very important because getting back to 3%, 4%, 5% growth rates is critical to get South Africa out of kind of condition of economic stagnation. So the findings, so they varied, although they're not terribly different from previous research in some of these areas. So if we look at things like the labor market chapter, it talks a lot about ways in which we can improve matching supply and demand in the economy, how to create jobs for young South Africans and more marginalized South Africans who tend to get kicked out of the labor market and lose their jobs very easily. The trade chapter looked at ways in which, in particular, tariffs on consumption items that affect poorer South Africans can be adjusted in ways to make life more affordable, which has knock-on effects to economic growth and also improves the livelihoods of those households directly. The policy challenges facing South Africa on the growth side are known, right? These are not things that are completely innovative and new. It reminds us that many of these things are structural and it's important for policy to be gotten right to solve them. These things are not things that are going to solve themselves. And that was true prior to the pandemic, and it's true after the pandemic. So it really is about focusing our attention on the kinds of things that we understand are positive for growth.